Right. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As just introduced, I am Immaculate Reshma, and I work as a product manager in Zoho Corp. It's truly a privilege to be here today, and I am deeply honored and very, very excited to be a part of this wonderful event and to share my story with you today. When I say my story, I would like to take all of you here today on a 10-minute tour with me into my world, into a woman's world, and show you what it really takes to stay, to grow, and to lead professionally as a woman. So if you're ready, fasten your seatbelts. Let's get started. So I want to begin with a question that has been around for a very long time. Why aren't there more women in leadership roles? So now this is an important and fascinating question that has been studied extensively for the past 10 to 15 years. Many researchers have pointed out to external factors like unequal access to opportunities for women, the career breaks that women take, and the biased promotion systems in workplaces, and a lot more. And at the same time, a lot of research has been done on the internal challenges that women face. So, like for example, the imposter syndrome, or the inability to own success, and the fear of failure, the fear of being judged, and the constant pressure to prove credibility. The list keeps on going. A lot of women leaders themselves have spoken openly about all these internal challenges and the internal patterns that we as women tend to carry within us. All right, so this is history. But where are we today? If you ask me, from my perspective, the external conditions have been fairly improving, and the workplaces have become very, very supportive for women to thrive. But we as women, how are we handling our internal inhibitions that we have been carrying within us for so long? How are we dealing with it? Well, if you ask me, we don't have that one magic pill with us that if we swallow will help us overcome all our internal inhibitions overnight. That's not possible because these internal patterns have been weaved into us, and we've been molded this way generation after generation. Do you think the women leaders here, including me, are standing here without carrying an ounce of self-doubt this morning, or without carrying the guilt of leaving a child at home? The honest answer would be no. We all face these internal patterns and the inhibitions day to day. But then how do we handle these? How do we overcome these inhibitions if we need to become a leader? If we look closely, all the women leaders who have achieved great heights have had two remarkable factors with them. One, they've all made the conscious choice to overcome these internal inhibitions and rewire all those patterns. And two, they've all had the right set of tools with them to handle these patterns that happen within us. So today, I'm going to hand over to you and help you with a tool that I have crafted for myself, and I've been using it all through these years to overcome my own internal inhibitions. So I personally call it the ABC rule. Easy to remember, right? So A stands for assume responsibility, and B stands for be a bellwether, and C stands for claim your creativity without guilt. Let's go over them one by one. Assume responsibility. So when I say assume responsibility, I mean take up responsibility for your own success or failure. Own them both equally. Treat them both equally. As women, we are naturally wired to worry too much about failure, about making mistakes, about always getting it right. And because of that, we always wait for a reassurance from others. But when you start taking up responsibility for your own decisions and actions, that is when we will be able to overcome this internal challenge. I would like to share a personal moment from my own journey where this internal challenge was so real and raw. After spending 4 years in a development role, I was offered an opportunity to take up associate product management role. So on paper, this sounded like growth, a fantastic new opportunity. Back then, product management was something so new that was coming up in Tamil Nadu specifically. But internally, all that I just described showed up. I questioned and doubted myself if I was really ready, if I will be able to do justice to this role. And I was not willing to leave the comfort zone that I had built. And I was worried about failing in a role that was far more visible and very uncertain. And there was no one who could give me a reassurance. And there was definitely no guarantee that I'm going to succeed. So that was the moment when I realized that I need to take up responsibility for my own success or failure. So I said to myself, all right, I may not know everything yet, but I'm going to learn whatever it takes to do justice to that role. And I'm willing to be uncomfortable for some more time. And I'm going to take up responsibility if I'm going to fail. It's okay to fail. And even if I fail, I'll find out some other path. When I said this to myself, I was able to move forward and take up that opportunity. Now, when looking back, that is one of the finest decisions of my career. I was able to discover a role that came so naturally to me, and I was able to express myself so fully and authentically in that role. So always, this is a thumb rule that we need to remember. Unless you step into the water, you will never know that if you already know to swim, or if you need to learn to swim, or if you literally need a lifeboat to survive. So be willing to take risks, have the courage to fail, and whenever self-doubt pops in, handle it by taking responsibility for your own success or failure. So next is be a bellwether. So a bellwether is a sheep that leads the herd. It sets new paths and directions for the herd to follow. And what's more interesting characteristics about the bellwether is that it never panics and it's very bold. Even when faced with life-threatening situations, it is very less likely to get panicked. So why am I asking you to be a bellwether now? So today in our society, the images of women and women leadership are heavily distorted. All you get to see are only extremes and polarities. You will either see examples of women who are very aggressive, dominant, and they're just voicing out their opinion. On the other hand, you will also see women who are very suppressive about their voices, and they just live by others' opinions. You will see examples of women who are fighting and striving hard to get what they really need. And you will also see examples of women who don't even know what they really need, and they just sit back and live their life by what they get. We see very contrasting examples, even in our own families. But have you paused for a moment and thought, could there be an alternative image of the woman or the woman leadership around? I would invite you to pause for a moment now and think about the framing, the images that you have about women and women leadership. What are the beliefs around that? What is the image that you personally have built in your head? Are you just following the herd that you see in the society? Or are you ready to set up a new path? So be a bellwether, be bold enough, and try new paths. Like, just as I just said in the example, you don't need to be very aggressive to voice out your opinion, but we can always find very healthy ways to communicate and stand what we really need. That is how we need to define a new path for ourselves and be a bellwether and lead the flock. The next is claim your creativity without guilt. So this workplace guilt is something that has been widely discussed in all the researches. But today, I'm going to give you a different perspective to look about this guilt. Right from a very young age, we as girls are taught how to nurture others, how to take care of the family. But we are never taught how to express our creativity without guilt. Now, I fully acknowledge the fact that taking care of others, nurturing others is something so intrinsic to women. That is our natural strength. It just comes so naturally to us. But so does creativity. When I mean creativity, I just don't mean the artistic expression of it. That is singing, dancing, writing. No, we don't stop there. It is your ability to create anything new. It could be a new thought, a new solution to an existing problem. It could be a new way of doing the existing routine things. Like, for example, a new way of making the sambar that your mom did, but in a totally different flavor. Or a new way of managing your finances at home. Or a new way of managing and leading people in your office. A new way of dealing with a challenging customer. It could be anything. But interestingly, our society celebrates when your creativity is expressed within the homes. But when you express the same creativity in your workplaces, you are expected to carry a guilt within you for wanting more, for choosing growth, and for not doing enough at home. So because of this guilt, a lot of women abandon their goals and interests far too early. They don't stay and play the long game in their own industries. So today, I would like to ask all of you here and remind all the women that in your workplaces, we are just simply expressing our creativity and there's no need to carry a guilt around that. Let's place that weight of guilt down and stay to play the long game. So to summarize, I would say, to be a leader, you need to be willing to take risks, question every belief that has been imbibed into you, and get around with that guilt. So as I told in the beginning, this inner world of ours has been shaped over time. And it needs a very conscious choice and effort from our side to rewire all these patterns and beliefs. So I hope this ABC rule will come handy and help you to overcome these internal inhibitions as and when you face day to day and moment by moment. So I was able to personally craft this rule for myself during some of the lowest moments of my life when I really wanted to quit. But because I chose to stay and I was so determined to find a way forward, always help appeared. In this moment, I have huge gratitude for all my mentors who are all men but never made me feel like a woman who is trying to claim her space. Never. They always gave me the freedom and the space to flourish. So help always appears when you are determined to move forward. So with that, I would like to conclude on a very positive note, highlighting how far women have come. Gone are the days when women had to fight for a place for themselves. Now we are getting equally represented everywhere, be it in governments, corporate leaderships, and in any industry. And we are very much aware of our internal patterns. And the external conditions have been fairly improving. And you can witness so many women leaders here. So the question to the young minds today is no more, why aren't there many women in leadership roles? But the question is, what kind of a leader do you want to be? Are you ready to rethink leadership and play it with our own natural strengths? You know, a woman's emotional awareness can become a strategic insight. Our empathy can become influence. And our creativity becomes leadership. So this isn't anymore about women changing who we are to fit into leadership. This is all about leadership making space for a different flavor to exist. So I leave you with a final thought. What kind of a leader do you want to be? Lead thyself to be one of a kind. Thank you.